Yan. Alright. This is it. This is it. Ito na, medyo makasaysayan na araw ito, mga kameta. Maraming nangyari sa ating bansa at saka yung ating minamahal na presidente na si BBM. Ayan, may mga big moves for President Marcos Jr. On one hand, of course, on the diplomatic front, ito na, something quite unprecedented happened. We had a sitting President of the Republic of the Philippines openly greeting itong bagong halal na presidente ng Taiwan. Of course, alam niyo naman, katulad ng diniscuss natin na kahapon, meron tayong one China policy, so hindi natin tinitrato bilang isang fully sovereign nation ng Taiwan. Hindi natin sinasabi na necessarily probinsya ito ng China, pero pagdating sa China, there's only the People's Republic of China na recognize natin, hindi natin i-recognize ang Republic of China, otherwise known as Taiwan. So medyo big factor yan at nagpasalamat si outgoing Vice President, incoming President William Lai, sa ating presidente, and he underscored the importance of stronger economic and people-to-people relationship at of course, hindi natuwa yung yung favorite bansa ni Tatay, 'di ba? So eto, nagpa-summon ang China ng ating ambassador sa Beijing, right? Ito po yung isa, of course, kaibigan natin yan, si Sir, and used to be my colleague also in UP. Ito, so galit na galit ang China ngayon dahil ang Pilipinas ay nag-greet sa newly elected president of Taiwan. So in effect, legitimizing the Taiwanese elections, which China obviously totally rejects. Now, bago tayo pumunta doon, pag-usapan naman natin yung nangyari sa loob ng ating bansa. Kahapon, ang dami natin pinag-usapan ukol sa Taiwan. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the Philippines dahil ngayon, openly, there are discussions of potential constitutional crisis. Because may mga iba dyan sa loob ng Kongreso na medyo nagmamarunong or nagpo-push ng kanilang agenda. Diniscuss natin ito sa ating mga videos before, kung saan, of course, yung mga reports na si Etzel Lagman, si MARCOS, and of course, recently nakita din natin report ng TV5 kung saan binuking nila na may mga taga City Hall daw na umikot-ikot dyan, pumupunta sa kung ano-anong mga barangay at nagdadala ng form. At akala ng tao, itong form na to ay dahil para sa ayuda. Of course, alam natin, napakataas yung presyo ng mga bilihin, nahihirapan yung mga ating mga kabayan. They will welcome kahit anong ayuda makukuha nila. So, itong bigla, malalaman lang nila, itong mga papeles na yan ay walang kinalaman sa ayuda. Or baka potentially may kinalaman sa ayuda but not directly. Baka incentive yung idea na baka magkaroon kayo ng ayuda. Biglang ang alam nila yan, ayan, scammer ang nangyari. Biglang pinapirma sila ng mga forms na nagpapasulong, no? Sa isang so-called People's Initiative, no? For constitutional change, no? So alam natin na marami sa ating Senado ay hindi masyadong sangayon dito. Ewan ko kay Robin Hood Padilla kasi interestingly, biglang tahimik yata si parang Robin Hood, di ba? Ito si Sir Robin Hood, napaka-enthusiastic. Charter change. Magpa-parliamentary tayo. Lahat ng problema natin mawala. Magpa-federal tayo. Yung mga ganyan-ganyan. Tapos ngayon biglang tahimik. At alam natin, at least yung isa sa mga anak ng dating minamahal na Pangulo, ay medyo lumabas na rin na nag-criticize na itong mga plano ng Chacha. So that's telling you that something big is afoot, no? There's something big is afoot. And no less than MARCOS, yung presidential sister and senador, ay medyo nagagalit na rin at nagrereklamo dito sa so-called People's Initiative. So finally, it looks like the issue escalated to the President of the Republic of the Philippines. So very very important yung isang letter dyan. It's not letter A, it's letter U. So, President Marcos Jr. bucks, not backs, Chacha. They mean completely opposite things. At mukhang hindi natuwa daw si Pangulong Marcos Jr. dito sa mga, hindi naman conspiracy, pero let's say just initiative na iraram through itong constitutional change na yan, which raises some big questions about ano yung level ng understanding between the President and the leadership of the Congress. you would assume that in our system where meron tayong so-called presidential bandwagoning, hindi naman sunod-sunuran pero may konting alignment. Especially when kamag-anak mo, pinsan mo yung nasa, head of the Congress, alam mo na naging head of Congress siya because of the connection to the president, or at least that's the assumption. But that's the interesting thing. The president is now distancing himself dito sa people initiative and charter change. Now, that doesn't mean the president is not for any kind of charter change. It's just that he's not necessarily on board with this way of ramming through charter change. So as a result, medyo nag-ingay-ingay yung ibang senador, hindi lang pala tayo, nag-ingay-ingay dito. May mga iba dyan din nag-ingay-ingay na hindi lang Marcos ang pangalan, hindi lang Edsel Lagman ang pangalan. In fairness kay Sir Edsel Lagman, biglang ito na yung breakout moment niya. In many ways, I think more and more people are beginning to appreciate what he brings to the table as a leader of the Liberal Party. Again, mahabang usapan niya kumusta naman ang Liberal Party. I don't want to get into that. Okay, marami na tayong sinabi, baka may magalit na naman sa atin. But in fairness, I think he's doing a pretty decent job of highlighting this issue. But now you have also senators, people close to the president, taking this issue to the president and saying, hindi ito okay, hindi ito cool, hindi ito pwede, dapat may gagawin tayo dito. So panoorin natin itong video na ito, mga kamets, kung saan talaga nagreklamo itong minamahal natin na presidente ng ating Senado naman. Di ba? Marami tayong presidente sa bansang to eh. Lahat na may presidente, pati yung barangay, baka may ano dyan. Ito panoorin natin ito, mga kamets Mahalagang bagay ito. Pansin nyo, pag local na mga issues, mas prefer ko talaga mag-Tagalog na lang tayo. Kasi parang, ewan ko, parang ganun na lang. Masapang kali na lang minsan pag mga local politics natin. Mami na tayo mag-English, talk about geopolitics. Mga ganun. Okay. Dito muna tayo sa local, Local news lang muna tayo. Ito. Ibang klase talaga itong minamahal natin bansa. Kasi baka magkakaroon ng constitutional crisis. Pag nagbardagulan ng Senado at Kongreso dito sa issue ng charter change, akit na yan all the way sa Supreme Court na yan. So, importante yung say ng presidente din dito bilang representative ng executive branch of the government. Although, of course, alam na sa Pilipinas, the executive branch ay talagang true king among the three. Primus inter pares. Although, in terms of our constitutional principles, dapat separation of powers kasi American system, no? Pag-usapan natin ito Wait, nasaan napunta to? Wait, okay, mali yata na press ko dito. Lagay ko dito. Panoorin natin itong reklamo ng ating minamahal na si Sir Ito.
This is to avert a constitutional crisis between the House of Representatives and the Senate. And to make it clear that there are no other planned provisions or amendments on any other thing but purely economic in nature. Tatlo lang yung topic dito and napakasimple, napakalinaw. So, ito po ay gagawin natin para sa ganun we preserve the bicameralism of both the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Okay.
Reserve the bicameralism, ibig sabihin hindi magbabardagulan yung dalawa. So, Senate President Mig Zubiri, nag-file po siya ng resolution, bicameral resolution number 5, quote, proposing amendments to economic provision of the 1987 Constitution in order to avert a constitutional crisis, kung saan yung isa na mas maraming laman ay i-ram through nila under a supposed situation. I mean, ganito kasi, kung you merge the two, no match ang Senado kasi ilan lang ba sila, 'di ba? Just 2 dozen. Abang hundreds yung kabila. Of course, ang position ng Senado is that dapat separate ang voting and then 3/4 majority if ever we're gonna push towards charter change. Pero may mga ba dyan na sinasabi, people's initiative natin, which of course itself is also very technically, legally questionable. No? Pwede rin ni Supreme Court din separately yung merits ng people's initiative. Both in terms of the nature of the people's initiative being conducted, the way it's conducted, but also in terms of its fundamental jurisprudential merits. No? So ito so ang sinasabi ni Mig Zubiri dito is, kung iba dyan, ang argument lang nila, O ito, kailangan natin mag-Chacha dahil may problema tayo dun sa investments, blah blah blah, at yung kanilang henyong argument is pinalitan mo lang yung batas, magically biglang maganda ng bansa, lahat ng mga investors ay pupunta. Obviously, itong mga to, yung mga medyo pitsugin na tao, kasi kung nakausap nila, no offense pero kung nakausap mo, yung top industrialists and manufacturing companies, sorry lang medyo minsan ina-advise lang natin mga biggest hedge funds dyan at yung mga biggest conglomerates and companies. Ang sasabihin nila sa iyo, isa sa pinakamalaking problema na sila sa Pilipinas, utility costs. Napakamahal ang electricity, napakamahal ang basic infrastructure, water, etc. And regulatory uncertainty. Now, hindi ko alam kung sinong henyo nag-isip na tinanggalan mo lang yung restrictions sa investments, automatically everything will be fine. In fact, I'll tell you this. The reason why I find the Zubiri intervention interesting is because actually, not long ago, ang posisyon ni Zubiri was this. Pag-usapan natin yan before we go to the BBM. Para lang ma-appreciate niyo yung konteksto ng pinag-usapan natin dito. Okay? Ganito. Ganito. Not long ago, actually, ang position ni Zubiri is okay naman tayo kasi meron naman tayong mga bagong batas na-file kung saan nag-lift na po tayo ng restrictions in investments in certain sectors na previously ay binawalan sa ilalim na ating saligang batas. So actually, what the previous Senate and Congress did was to pass 3 different legislations to make foreign investment actually easier in the Philippines and open up some of the sectors of the economy in yung so-called public utility sectors among others para mas madali mag-invest yung foreigners. So actually, I'm trying to just to find the exact article para mabasa natin. Sorry. Ito. So, actually, earlier, ito yung position ni Zubiri. Sabi ni Zubiri, last year, sabi niya, ito naman, may Republic Act number 11659 tayo, which amended Commonwealth Act number 146 or the Public Service Act, PSA. This was signed but is not being fully implemented up to now ayon kay Zubiri because why? The implementing rules and regulation have not been released. Hindi pa nilalabas yung implementing rules and regulation ayon nitong batas. Hindi ko po alam bakit. Are they delaying for some underlying reasons? Why don't they let IR go and let it out so that more direct foreign investments can come to the country? Obviously, they're still in quandary about what the implementing rules and regulations are. So in short, mga kameta, just to give you an overview, when you pass new laws, it's one thing to pass a law because it's an expression of certain principle fundamental to your constitution. Pero paano mo siya i-implement na pasok dun sa existing implementing rules mo at pasok dun sa modalities ng bureaucracy mo, kailangan mo na implementing rules and regulation yan. So, komplikado yan. So, ang argument niya actually last year was, hindi naman kailangan ng bagong charter change or hindi naman kailangan ng charter change dahil actually may mga pinasa na tayo ng mga bagong batas kung saan binababa natin yung restrictions and nililift na natin ang mga restrictions sa foreign direct investments, no? So, actually, we had this, actually, hate night ko yung mga ganyan fillers. Hindi kasi hinanap ko yung specific laws. Meron tayong vlog about that. Pwede ko na lang forward sa inyo. Please check it out on yourself. Marami tayong binag-usapan. I went provision by provision. I went law by law and the implications. So, in short, hindi kailangan to dahil meron ng mga bagong batas na pinasa ng dating Senado. Meaning, just in 2021-2022. Ang problema, hindi pa siya na-implement. So, paano natin masabi na kailangan mo ng bago? Parang ganito, meron kang driver, ang problema, sabi ng driver, pangit tong kotse na ito, bigyan mo ako ng bagong kotse para mas mabilis tayo. Tapos, binigyan mo ng bagong kotse, hindi pa ginamit yung bagong kotse kasi wala pa siyang lisensya or whatever. And then, sasabihin mo, hindi pwede yan, bibili tayo ng isa pang, hindi lang bagong kotse, bibili tayo ng isang bagong garahe, isang bagong team. Hindi mo pa nga na-try yung bagong kotse na binili mo para makita natin kung ito ay swak doon sa mga pangangailangan natin sa ating bansa pagdating sa investment needs. So, medyo suspicious yan. I mean, si Zubiri mismo nagsasabi yan. So this law actually was supposed to allow foreign ownership of businesses in select industries katulad ng telecommunications, airlines, and railways. Although, may restriction naman pa rin sa total foreign equity in sectors like public utility vehicles, water, electricity, petroleum pipelines, and seaports. Why? Because ito po yung commanding heights of our economy. Imaginein mo, pag binuksan mo kompleto sa mga dayuhan, itong mga critical sectors of our economy, di kontrolado ng mga dayuhan. Nasabihin natin, dayuhan na to, baka galing sa China, di ba? Good luck na lang sa atin, di ba? Sa gitna ng mga hidwaan natin, etc. So, of course, you want to keep away certain critical infrastructure. Even sa Amerika, sa Australia, sa ibang bansa, may mga restrictions sila in terms of critical infrastructure investment. Vietnam, for instance, nagde-develop sila ng sarili nilang 5G network, etc. para hindi sila kumuha ng investments from Huawei or whatever from China. So, in short, medyo balance itong approach na to eh. So, kung ang problema mo lang talaga dito is restrictions sa foreign investment. Ang sinasabi ni Zubiri, meron naman tayong batas, implement lang natin na mabuti. Hindi ko alam bakit walang implementation na mabuti. Pero ngayon, mukhang na-gets na sense ni Zubiri na next level na talaga. Yung mga kabila, yung mga gusto railroad ng itong so-called People's Initiative. So he's saying, okay, para wala na kayong excuse, para tapos ng dramang tong wala nang usapan, kung yun ang talagang excuse nyo, okay, go ako. Palitan na natin yung provisions ng ating saligang batas. Mag-amendment na tayo totally. Alright. So 3 senators push certain amendments or a Chacha that only focuses on the economic provisions, no? So si President Marcos Jr. in fairness, mukhang nakipag-usap siya with Zubiri and some of the other concerned senators na malapit sa kanya na hindi naman opposition or etc. katulad ni Zubiri. At ayon kay President Marcos, itong People's Initiative, he deemed it too divisive. Yan ang maganda pag yung president naman ay non-confrontational, di ba? Immediately, the moment na na-realize niya maraming ayaw dito at napaka-controversial ito, mukhang gumana yung ingay niya. Sabi niya, it's too divisive and has urged the Senate to take the lead in amending the charter or at least some of its economic provisions. So essentially settle for some kind of amendments. So, hindi na kailangan palitan mo yung buong garahe, buong team mo, buong ayusin mo lang yung kotse na meron ka, things might work, right? So, accordingly, after yung meeting niya with Marcos, Zubiri pushed for a joint resolution, ito yung RBH 6 to amend certain economic provision of the Constitution of the Philippines, So, RBH 6 limits any charter change effort to specific provision that will open up public services, the education sector, and advertising industry to foreign ownership. So, actually, hindi ito ganong kalayo dun sa mga batas na pinasan nila noon na wala pa rin IRR. So, sabi na, okay, next level, tanggalin na natin or amend na lang natin yung parte ng Constitution na yan. Alright? So, Zubiri said Senators Loren Legarda and Sonny Angara also supported him on this. Sonny Angara is important because he's generally the finance guy. He has been in charge of the finance-related issues dyan sa Senado. So ayon kay Zubiri, this is to avert a constitutional crisis between the House of Representatives and the Senate, and to make it clear that there are no other planned provisions or amendments on any other thing but purely economic in nature. In short, isi-shut down na nila yung excuse ng kabila to ram anything through that. So this is very, very, very important. Alright? So mukhang nagkaroon ng medyo mainit-init na usapin sa pagitan ng yung mga dalawang lehislatura natin. So the Senate Chief said his colorful and vigorous discussion with Martin Romualdez, the Speaker of the House, became quite heated. So mukhang medyo nagkasagutan. Hindi na siya nagbigay ng details pero hintayin natin yung mga Marites dyan. Speaking of which, Marites R&R tomorrow. Yung Marites natin lalo yan. Baka may mas Marites siya sa akin. They met on January 11, so yung isang araw lang, this time with Special Assistant to the President, si Lagdameo, and Senior Deputy Majority Leader, Sandro Marcos. So yung favorito natin, si Alessandro. So I would like to thank the President for his comment that the People's Initiative, PI talaga, PI pala, People's PI, is too divisive, and even mentioned news items from the media networks that he watched the night before. Malay na baka si BBM nanood pa sa atin sa mga sa mga gulo natin, sa mga pampapagulo natin dito sa mga TikTok natin. Malay mo ba? I thank the President for this. I used to be a senator, and as a former senator, I'll not allow anyone to undermine or diminish the power of the Senate. Ito daw ang sinabi ng ating minamahal na presidente. The President told me and the Speaker This is what Zubiri is saying. Why doesn't the Senate take the lead in the discussion of the economic provisions and then you approve your version, which the House can adopt? So mag-coordinate kayo, yun ang sinasabi ni BBM. So that was the position of the President, so that we will not put any more amendments that we think will make the people angry. So that was quite clear in the meeting. Ayan. So mukhang gumanang medyo ingay natin mga kameta. Yan ang gusto natin sa presidente natin. Text ko lang tong ingay work I hope the people, sabi ni Zubiri, who are listening will get the body language of the president and stopping the move. Well, I don't know about the body. Siguro referring dun sa meeting nila when they were talking to each other. Well, I don't want to put words in the speaker's mouth, but according to the speaker, in that meeting, the People's Initiative is moot and academic if it's about economic provisions. Ayan, boom! That's it. So, huwag naman tayo getting ahead of ourselves para mukhang na ganyan yung People's Initiative. Now, does that mean the end of the story? Na magpahinga tayo, mag-relax na tayo, everything's done? No. But it looks like yung mga ayaw dito sa PI na ito, may konting victory ngayon. At least may tactical victory ngayon. I won't be surprised this issue of charter change will come back again. There'll be other ways, other tricks, whatever. But at least, for now, salamat dun sa pag-iingay ng mga iba, including yung mga ibang senator natin, biglang yung presidente natin ay nag-intervene. So, malaking bagay yan, mga kameta. Malaking bagay yan. So, again, just to give you an idea, no? Zubiri hopes to see RBH pass this quarter or before the next congressional recess on March 22. So, we're looking at essentially 5 weeks from now. The Senate President said RBH 6 would only need 3/4 or 18 affirmative votes doon sa Senado, both in the subcommittee and plenary levels. Under RBH 6, parang BTS yun, RBH6, diba? Yung mga ganyan, mga BTS, yung mga ganyan. The Senate President said, the senators, there's a need to institutionalize reforms laid down in the Public Service Act to liberalize. So in short, they see this as the way to deal dun sa issue ng pagkakulang ng implementing rules and regulations dun sa mga pinasan nila already. So they see this as a logical next step dun sa ginawa nila previously. Ayon sa RBH 6, ito yung pinasan nila na parang bicameral way of pushing for constitutional amendments. Our children deserve to have access to best educational institutions, both Filipino and foreign, to ensure that they receive the best training to become globally competitive citizens in the modern world. The advertising industry currently already has foreign players, and liberalizing the same is a logical sound policy to attract foreign direct investment. So in short, sinasabi na yung mga bubuksan natin, hindi naman dapat malaking issue yan. Now, ito yung importante. Ano naman sinabi nung Kongreso? What has been the response of the Congress? No, has the Congress welcomed this? Has the Congress, been sour graping over this? What's going on here? So ito yung response ng Kongreso. For his part, Martin Romualdez, the Speaker of the Congress, said he voiced his unwavering support for the Senate's initiative to file a resolution of both House of Congress. So medyo peace. This resolution, ayon kay Martin Romualdez, using the mode of constituent assembly, is a decisive step towards amending the 1987 Constitution, particularly in terms of relaxing the economic provisions that currently restrict the entry of foreign direct investments into the Philippines. So, just to give a recap, when we talk about constitutional assembly or CONAS, it kind of sounds wrong, but so there's a constitutional convention and then there's a constitutional assembly, constituent assembly. Under a constituent assembly, one of the three modes in revising the charter, the House commitment to a democratic. Okay, so this is where, well, the thing with this CONAS is it's more reliant on an understanding between the Senate and the Congress as opposed to People's Initiative or Constitutional Convention, right? But what they're saying, at least ayon kay Romualdez, we look forward to engaging in constructive discussions and working collaboratively with all stakeholders in the important constitutional endeavor. All right. Moreover, the synergy between the Senate and House in passing this resolution will send a strong signal of unity. Ayan, uniteam. It aligns with the aspiration of the proponents of the ongoing People's Initiative who have tirelessly advocated for constitutional reform. So, in short, Romualdez is saying hindi magagalit yung mga pro-People's Initiative kasi hindi naman kailangan ng People's Initiative if we can do it through a constituent assembly, i.e., we resolve it among ourselves, kami sa Kongreso at kayo sa Senado, and we can push it forward accordingly. All right, this is good. This is interesting. This is good, not in the sense that I necessarily also welcome this change, but at least it looks like the possibility of a rammed through railroaded Chacha is, at least for now, temporarily on ice, at least until March. But as I always said, never tayo dapat complacent. We'll continue to update you guys on this issue. I think gumana medyo yung ingay ng ibang tao dyan, ingay natin, ingay ng ni Amy, ingay ng mga Duterte, ingay ng mga opposition, etc. Because yun nga, ayaw natin ng medyo mambo-jumbo. Alright? Tsaka ingay ng media, in fairness. I think they did a very good job of exposing mga eche, boreche, chacha na yan. Okay. Alright. Now, thank you very much on that. Now, let's transition naman dun sa diplomatic front. Dito naman mas believe ka pa kay BBM, in fairness naman. So, if you look at it, President Marcos Jr. did something quite big.